Thanks, man. Well, we're excited to tell you a little bit more about the mini pitch initiative. We'll kick off with the presentation and we'll kind of jump right to it. So the mini pitch initiative is something that is very unique to Musco, and we've been working with the U.S. Soccer Foundation for more than 20 years, but I'll kick off by telling you a little bit about Musco Lighting. If we can go to the next slide. So Musco Lighting, we are a sports lighting company. We've been around for more than 40 years. We do indoor, outdoor solutions. We're also in the transportation and infrastructure space. We've been doing this for a really long time. We're based out of the United States, but we also have a global presence. We can go to the next slide. One of the cool things that I get to do in my job is be a part of projects that end up happening all around the world, and specifically with football, which is a great passion of mine. Just recently, we've completed Wembley Stadium. We're working on Etihad Stadium. We've done San Siro. We've done Estadio Caliente for Cholos, and then here in the U.S. for Inter Miami and Audi Field and LAFC. So that's just kind of a brief background of Musco as a company, and I'll kick it over to Alex to talk about the foundation.
Great, thanks, Eduardo. And if we could flip to the next slide. My name is Alex Bard, and I'm with the U.S. Soccer Foundation. We are a charitable organization that was founded from the proceeds of hosting the World Cup in 1994. And our programs are built to increase access to play and grow the game of soccer with a special emphasis in underserved communities. And one of the ways we do that is our mini pitch initiative. We started this in 2015, and the focus here is on bringing safe places to play the game to creative and unique circumstances where children and communities may not have access to large fields or any field space that is publicly accessible. We saw a dearth of tennis and basketball courts and other hard court spaces around the United States that were not being used for their purpose. Maybe they weren't being used at all, or perhaps soccer was already being played on them. And we thought we could transform them into a more usable space through our mini pitch programming. So these are small-sided spaces, and we have about 333 in the ground over the past 5 years. If we go to the next slide. We have a large goal to build 1,000 by the time North America hosts the World Cup in 2026. And you can see a photo of the example of how we transform. This would be a underutilized basketball court at a school outside of Orlando, Florida. And we partnered with Major League Soccer for their All-Star festivities to bring this, there are actually too many pitches here to this school. The thing we love about them and what we love about our partners with Musco Lighting is that we add lights to all of our mini pitches so that there can be play during the day and at night. We find that having lights and giving kids a safe opportunity to play at night both increases the amount of hours that it can be used and the amount that the pitches can be a community hub. And this is really built into the foundation's larger goal of bringing everyone together to play the sport of football. It's a passion of ours, something that we've been focused on over the past few years. So I'm going to kick it back to Eduardo for the next slide.
Yeah, so as Alex said, they had this great ambition to build 1,000 mini pitches by 2026, and the foundation, as one of our close partners, they asked us, what's something that you can come up with that would kind of incorporate fencing, benches, goals, and lights, of course, and put it together into a modular solution. And that's how the mini pitch system was born. We did our first system together back in October of 2018 in Newark. And like I mentioned, it's essentially giant Lego. We're looking for a hard surface where you can put a galvanized steel structure. Sometimes I like to call it like a mini soccer stadium or a mini football stadium. It can be installed in 2 to 3 days. It includes a 10-year parts and labor warranty. We do 9 different customized sizing options, and you also have branding opportunities. So like I mentioned, as you can see in the photo right there, it's a galvanized steel structure that sits on top of a hard surface, and you get the benefit of lights, of fencing, goals, benches, and it's all put together in a couple days. If we can go to the next slide, please. And since our first one that we've done 80 more in the United States. We are slated to do a couple in Europe and one in Mexico. So we're excited about the progress that we've been able to do. And now as we continue to work with the U.S. Soccer Foundation, we continue to find spaces where you can transform a community. And it's been incredible to see the kind of partnerships that we've been able to build within the football community, with different clubs, with different nonprofit organizations. And it's honestly just been a great ride in finding different ways to make these happen. But I'll let Alex jump into some of that as well, as we can go into the next slide too, please.
Thanks, Eduardo. So how we bring a mini pitch to a community, we, the foundation, view ourselves as kind of a facilitator of this process. And for some of you who come from clubs and leagues, obviously there's an extraordinary opportunity to make an impact for your own communities, whether it's across a country or within a certain state, city, marketplace. The way that we structure things is we like to work with partners on identifying what their goals are, and what other partners might want to be part of the project. Oftentimes we see corporate sponsorship opportunities here. So bringing different partners together. And as Eduardo alluded to, there are branding opportunities to kind of share the physical presence, as you can see in the photo here, a project we did with FC Cincinnati last year. We, the foundation, will help by doing a needs assessment to make sure that the pitch or pitches we install in a certain community are going to receive the greatest impact. And that's by working with local stakeholders like parks departments, school districts, and community organizations to identify where mini pitches will be most used or most needed. We obviously want to place these in places that will increase soccer usage, but also keep kids fit, safe, and playing. And one of the great statistics that we've seen that we can talk about later is that about 1/3 of the users of our mini pitches are new to the sport. So we are growing the game as well as serving those who are eager for more soccer opportunities. Lastly, we work with you to identify the specific location for mini pitch systems. There's obviously a lot that goes into where to place a mini pitch. And we want all partners to be part of that process, but we at the foundation take ownership over that so that it is so that we can utilize our national network of partners to find those great places. If you go to the next slide. Once we have the decisions on where mini pitches are going, how many of them will be placed around a city or community, the foundation in Musco, we actually partner together to handle the entire project management aspects of the project. So you can be very hands-off, you can be very hands-on, and we love that, but it's very flexible on how much time you may have to spend on the pieces of the project. Like we said, we work on the site selection process. We hire vendors, and we have a national network of vendors to install mini pitches, both the Musco system with lights as well as the surface. We manage the design and branding. So we work with you on choosing colors and brand opportunities. And then also we, of course, assist with that great moment where we get to open the mini pitch with the community, working with local or national media, and bringing the community together, as you can see at this wonderful event we hosted in Oklahoma, to open a pitch at a new school or park. And if we go to the next slide. So we just wanted to take a moment to talk you through some of the success stories that we've had in recent time and show a few examples of kind of different ways you can envision a mini pitch initiative in your local community. So two of our most recent MLS clubs that have committed to multiple projects are the Columbus Crew and the Red Bulls from New York. For the Columbus Crew, we've built 3 mini pitches with the Crew in the last 12 months. We opened our last 2 actually this past week. In this socially distanced world, we did a video launch rather than an in-person festivity. But we worked with the Columbus Crew to identify local parks that are near both U.S. Soccer Foundation programming as well as the Crew's own after-school programs to make sure that the locations of these mini pitches will have that long-lasting impact. We work with the Crew on the design of the mini pitch, and I wish we could zoom in. You can see even their checkerboard pattern along the sidelines, which is historic to the club. And obviously, we look forward to building more with Columbus, both with the Columbus have a great connection to the schools and parks departments within Columbus. So we've been able to build with both of those organizations, and in that way, we really make an impact across the city. The Red Bulls in Newark, New Jersey, have committed to a 20 pitch initiative in partnership with the Newark Public School System, trying to make an impact in as many schools as possible. We are opening our 9th and 10th mini pitches with the Red Bulls next week over the first 3 years of this initiative. And one thing that the Red Bulls did that I think was a fantastic plan was they really wanted to commit to a large number and make that kind of public announcement. And what they were able to do is they went to some of their corporate sponsors, current sponsors, and convinced them to expand on that sponsor relationship to include committing to funding for mini pitches. So whereas maybe the Red Bulls only had a budget themselves for, let's say, 10, they found matching funds to increase that number to 20. Obviously, that's a significant increase in the way that they can serve their community and make those local connections to their hometown fans. So I think Eduardo is going to talk about a few other success stories on the next slide.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key point in bringing some of these success stories up is just trying to kind of demonstrate the different ways that you can figure out a way to work together in long-term partnerships. So Fields and Futures in Oklahoma City through the Energy FC USL team. That's how it started originally. And by the end of 2021, we will have installed 23 mini pitches in Oklahoma City. They've been an incredible partner and helping identify sites. They worked first with the public school system in Oklahoma City to identify sites that could go in middle schools, and then now with the Oklahoma City parks. So they've been an incredible partner. And then you take the example in Des Moines, Iowa, you have the USL Pro Iowa group is vying to be a USL franchise in 2022. And when we presented the opportunity to them, they're so excited, and they're kind of like, if we're going to bring football to Des Moines, what better way than to make it a grassroots movement? And so their investment and their involvement in it has been really exciting. And then through the work with Kick It Forward, which is a football nonprofit in Des Moines, we kind of put all the pieces together, and we've been able to install 5 of them this year, and we'll do another 5 next year. So that's just another really organic way that the Mini Pitch Initiative grew here in Iowa, which is where Musco is based out of. So it's very, very dear and near to us. And so that's just another example of how you can get community involvement and do these at a mass scale. And I think Alex will now talk about some statistics with the communities that have seen the Mini Pitch in the next slide.
Thanks, Eduardo. If I can jump into just a reminder on that last slide, I think it's important to recognize these 2 stories that Eduardo told you about and the commitments made in those cities, right? 23 in Oklahoma City, 10 coming to Des Moines in the next few years, really showcases, I think, ways that you can identify. Many of you probably already work with nonprofit entities in your communities who are doing a lot of this programming work on the ground. Fields and Futures has been trying to rebuild every public school play yard across the city, and they've been doing it for a long time. So finding that natural fit with an organization that already has kind of its roots within the city, both because they know where the needs are, but also because frankly, they know the process and they are a known entity. So a lot of that bureaucratic red tape can be avoided. That is a massive help towards getting these things launched. So for those of you who have those wonderful relationships already with that local group, a Kick It Forward who's trying to expand the football population in a place like Des Moines, being able to connect with them and bring them in as a partner. We talked about corporate partners, but there's also a lot of room for programmatic partners. Really does enhance the way that these mini pitches, the story you can tell, but also the ease with which you can begin to build them. And the last thing, Eduardo mentioned the ease at which we build them. I don't want that to be lost on you either. The foundation of Musco, we will install close to 100 of these mini pitches this calendar year. The foundation, like I said, has built almost 350 of them over 5 years. So we are building these at a rate that I don't think anyone else is really accomplishing in the United States. And it's a credit to what Musco can do with their physical installation process, but also how quickly we can motivate the local stakeholders to allow us to get this work done and get these pitches open for the community. And then lastly, on the next slide, I noted that we've been building these mini pitches for 5 years at the U.S. Soccer Foundation. We've also been collecting a lot of information. We are a data-driven organization, very intentional with how we approach our projects and our products. So just wanted to showcase for you some of the high-level statistics from our mini pitch initiative over the course of time. You can obviously see very strong positive impact both on the physical activity front as well as these pitches serving as community hubs, which we think is such a valuable resource. We hope that increases based on the fact there are lights on the pitches and they seem more accessible than ever. But again, just to note that 31% of mini pitch users are new to the sport. This really is a way to grow the game and people's attention and opportunity in communities where they may not have thought that soccer was an option for them. Beyond these data points, each mini pitch that we've installed on average has about 4 hours of programming on it a day. So you have both programming and free play opportunities. And ever since we started building the mini pitch system with those great LED lights, each pitch has expanded play by about 2.5 to 3 hours a day just by use of those lights. So we are really seeing an increase in play just from adding lights, as well as obviously the strength of what our mini pitch system looks like. So anything else you want to share about the mini pitches before we wrap up for the day?
Well, there's always a lot to share. I know we've been working on a lot of really cool initiatives over the past couple of weeks. We're excited to partner with the European Football Development Network as their official program partner. That's a cool initiative that we just recently announced with EFDN as we continue to hopefully expand globally the mini pitch initiative. And I know, Alex, you've worked pretty closely with another recent initiative that's obviously very exciting as well.
Yeah, I will get to that in a second, but I've been texted a few questions. And I guess questions for you, Eduardo. Would there be a possibility for initiatives like this to be opened up in any other countries besides the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. Our main growth right now obviously has been in the U.S. We have an incredible partner here in the U.S. with the U.S. Soccer Foundation, but we're definitely always looking for other opportunities to expand. I mentioned we're going to be working now with the European Football Development Network. They're based out of Netherlands. So, yeah, absolutely. We'll take the mini pitch initiative anywhere in the world.
Excellent. And I'll take the second question here, which is who and how is access handled? Is it first come, first serve? Great question. Easy answer is it totally depends on the project. The better answer is That's part of how we craft each initiative and project by understanding what the goals are. And what I mean by that is some organizations have come to us and told us our priority, our goal is to increase public access to play. When we hear that, we know that we want to make sure we install projects in places where everyone has access. There are some places in the United States where schools are closed after school hours because of security issues. So building a mini pitch in a school where the public can't access it, the general public can't access it on weekends, in the summers, et cetera, might not fit within the goal of publicly accessible play. Others have come to us and said, we want to make sure every pitch we build is connected to a strong youth development soccer program. Another goal that's perfectly in line with our mission. In those situations, we might focus more on schools because there's our natural after school program connections we can make. So by structuring kind of the format of your initiative, we can kind of control access in a way. Ultimately, access is owned by the landowner, the park, the school, the community center, but we can help develop what your goals are and make sure that the pitch matches what you are trying to accomplish. So thank you for those questions. And then Eduardo teed me up nicely for our most recent announcement that we want to share with this group, which is that Musco and the U.S. Soccer Foundation have partnered with the Black Players for Change organization, which is a group of MLS athletes and executives who came together over the summer to form a group focused on reducing the systematic barriers to play for people of color in the United States. And we are launching we're starting with a 12 mini pitch initiative where we will be building 12 of these projects around the country aimed at communities with a high minority population to ensure that they have access to great places to play the game. We hope to increase that by many more than 12. But if you follow either the U.S. Soccer Foundation or Musco, our social media feeds, you should see some big announcements coming as early as next week with our first projects in the ground. And we plan to build all 12 of these within a calendar year of our recent announcement. So just kind of goes to show you that there are a lot of ways to kind of match goals with these mini pitch projects. They can be based on health and wellness. They can be based on social justice issues of access and equality of play. And they can certainly be a tool towards helping give back to communities that have supported, again, your club, your league, etc. And with that, I believe we're going to wrap up and send it back to Ben in the studio.